It appears Lincoln Riley has found his man for the defense.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are free, and I so appreciate your support. If you are watching on YouTube and you haven't done it yet, you still got a chance. It's free. Hit that subscribe button. And if you like the episode, any of the episodes, go ahead and hit the like button. Both mean a whole heck of a lot. And to all of you who have already become a subscriber, thank you so very, very, very much. All right, so Lincoln Riley said during the offseason, back in January, that he was going to get more involved with the defense in 2023. So he decided he's going to bring in somebody with a ton of experience. The USC staff is getting ready to add an experienced defensive mind as longtime defensive coordinator, analyst, assistant. Greg Brown is set to join the staff as an analyst. And this is according to Matt Zenitz of On3. Last season, Brown was the defensive coordinator at North Carolina, Charlotte. And he brings some Pac-12 experience with him back to USC. He spent time all over the country coaching college and in the NFL. But while he was in the Pac-12, he served as Colorado's defensive coordinator in 2011 and 2012. And at that point, I said, all right, well, let me go do some digging, see what those defenses looked like back then. Let's start with Colorado. In 2011, John Embry was the Buffalo's head coach. They finished that year 3-10. 13-game schedule. They played Hawaii. They happened to lose that game on the islands. And that defense that season gave up an average of 36 points per game. Not too good. The following year, it got even worse. Colorado's team went 1-11. They surrendered 46 points per game, and that number just happened to be dead last in the NCAA. Let that sink in. Now, before that, he had done some. He had coached the Buffalo's defensive backs between 2005 and 2010, and between that stop, he was the co-defensive coordinator at the University of Arizona in 2010. So this is where the Oklahoma Sooner connection comes into focus a little bit more clearly with Lincoln Riley. The Wildcats head coach back in 2010 was Mike Stoops, yes, brother of Bob Stoops. Mike Stoops was the defensive coordinator. He calls the defense. Arizona was actually pretty decent that year, 7-6 overall record. And defensively, they gave up just a shed under 23 points per game, 22.7 if we're going to be exact. So I wanted to see if Arizona's defense got better or worse when Brown went back to Colorado in 2011. So, well, for one thing, Stoops got fired the following year. That year, they started out 1-5, and yes, the defense got worse. So, here's my question. Is this the extent of Lincoln Riley's Rolodex? I'm not knocking Greg Brown. You know, he's a 67-year-old professional assistant coach. He's got a great reputation, or, you know, how else did he last this long in the industry, right? Well, look, we know coaches, period. They're hired to be fired. I mean, that's their credo. But we also know that, you know, the coaching fraternity is very incestuous. Once you establish your relationships, you're going to find another job somewhere. It's just a matter of, are you willing to, you know, maybe take a step down, move laterally, whatever it takes to keep your toe dipped in the pool. So again, you know, is this the best that Lincoln can do? It's not like there isn't an Ed Orgeron sitting around out there doing nothing on LSU's dime. Or, was that taken into consideration? And, would Ed being close by cause too much consternation for Alex Grinch? Not to mention, it gives Riley, something else to think about. Ed Orgeron is another former head coach. We know his history with USC. And Coach O has a very strong personality. Could that, maybe cause a little bit of a tug of war in the locker room? I don't know. That's just something to consider. I mean, heck, Charlie Strong was out there hanging out before Nick Saban brought him in to Alabama this year as an analyst. Again, not knocking Greg Brown. I'm just wondering, not the most, I guess not the splashiest name out there is the best way to put it. And on that note, since it's not a splashy name, maybe this will give USC fans a little bit more confidence. Greg Brown actually coached defensive backs for Nick Saban at Alabama back in 2013, and he did the same for Gus Malzahn at Auburn in 2017 and 2018. We know Nick Saban likes to work with defensive backs. That's his specialty. Something else that should give Trojan fans a little bit of confidence. Brown has coached 3 Jim Thorpe Award winners. Deion Figures at Colorado in 92, Chris Hudson at Colorado in 94, and he also coached up Gerard Holloman at Louisville back in 2014. Little footnote. Holloman played strong safety for Louisville, and Chris Hudson was also a safety at Colorado. Deion Figures played cornerback. We know that Alex Grinch is USC's defensive coordinator. We also know that he specializes with the safeties. Interesting. Dante Williams is the cornerback coach. So, did Lincoln Riley, through game film, sitting down with the coaches, did he identify the defensive area that requires his involvement the most, his attention, or is it, is this just all kind of circumstantial evidence? We're going to talk about that in the next segment. First, the Built Bar Madness bracket is here. Yep, we know you have a favorite Built Bar Puff. Now is your time to make it count. Go to builtmarchmadness.com to vote your favorites. I'll be voting for the cookies and cream and the double chocolate bar puff. I'm a huge chocolate dude. And if you want USC to win, then you'll be supporting that bar too. Support your team, support your bar or puff, regardless. And when you vote for your favorite bar or puff, you'll also be entered into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will win a free box at Built. Not only that, but one Locked On fan will win a 12-month subscription to Built to have Built best bars or puffs delivered monthly straight to your front door. You got to try Built. Built is the best protein bar ever. Seriously, no joke. They're so amazing, you won't even think they're good for you. And what makes Built bars and their puffs so good? Well, for starters, they're all high in protein, low in sugar, and covered, say it with me, 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. So run to builtmarchmadness.com right now to vote for your favorite bar or puff and pick up a box while you're there. You can vote every day in March, so hop on in and support your pick. All right. Hey, go grab your bracket. It's March Madness, and go listen to Locked On College Basketball Bracket Breakdown with national analysts and insights from your local experts. The Locked On College Basketball Bracket Breakdown has everything you need to make the most informed decisions on your bracket. Find the episode on Locked On College Basketball wherever you get your podcast on YouTube. All right, we're going to talk some hoops here, but first, USC's defense, it cannot be stated enough. It has to get better in 2023. And for 2 simple reasons. Fight on. Number 1, this is Caleb Williams' last year at USC, and they almost made the playoffs last year with a poor defensive performance. Number 2, fight on. This is Caleb Williams' last year at USC, and the Trojans cannot let another opportunity be squandered like what happened last year. No one anticipated USC to even be vying for the playoffs in their first year. Remember, they were 4-8 in 2021. So, is Greg Brown that genie in the bottle? I mean, he's joining the other analysts on that side of the ball. Taylor Mays, Bookie Radley-Hiles, Brendan, formerly. Those are defensive analysts this season. Last year, Taylor Mays was a student assistant. I dubbed him student assassin because he still looks like he could play and suit up. Literally. I'm not joking. That's not hyperbole. And Radley-Hiles, he spent last year as a student assistant. Well, he played for Lincoln Riley. He wasn't officially on USC staff, but he was it seemed like he was at every single one of USC's fall camp or fall practices. When I was there, I saw him. And then Parker Henry, he's going to continue to hold the title of senior defensive analyst / assistant linebackers coach with Brian Odom. So, I mean, are these really the best guys available right now? This isn't a knock, but Taylor Mays and Bookie, these are young dudes. Not a lot of coaching experience. But, that doesn't mean these aren't young guns with bright futures. So is Riley going with what makes him comfortable? And he's helping Grinch with an experienced game mind in Greg Brown to help these young analysts. That can help Grinch. If Alex doesn't have to worry about his young analyst, he could focus on other areas. And if Greg Brown can be like the guy who says, snatch the pearl from my palm, grasshopper, with all that experience, 67 years. I mean, he's been around. That's a benefit. Look, we know USC's recruited the secondary really well, and they've used the portal to fill their needs up and down, both sides of the ball. But let's, just kind of focus in on the defense right now, specifically the secondary. Last year, they brought in Mekhi Blackman. This year, they're bringing in Christian Roland Wallace to play cornerback, both of them. So, while the roster's talent is getting better, is the addition of an analyst that's known for working in the secondary, is that going to make the difference in 2023? No. In 2022, the defensive line had USC's best defensive player, Tuli Tuipulotu. Well, we know he's off to the NFL. And we know that USC brought in a bunch of talent during this offseason for, Coach Nua and Coach Odom and Coach Manning to work with. As far as Nua is concerned, he's trying to find his next Tuli. And I mentioned at the first spring camp practice, the only one that we've been to so far on Wednesday last week, that, Sean's got a pretty decent sized room. Corey Foreman has been gifted to him. We'll see what he can do. I thought last year the linebackers were another area where USC struggled on defense. And when I say struggled, I'm talking about with injury and playmaking ability. They made plays, but they could have used more of it. So, again, the portal was kind to USC. They've dropped off a couple of linebackers, and they've got, freshman phenom, hopefully, Taka Curtis. He's already learning on the job quickly during spring camp. So, as I said, Greg Brown has defensive coordinator experience. So he'll be able to help Grinch get things figured out, right? That's the goal. That's the game plan. And as I've said, as many other analysts, pundits have mentioned, USC's defense, they don't have to be great in 2023 for them to make the playoffs. They just need to improve. Remember, last year, USC scored 41 points per game. They gave up on average 29 points. So that 12-point differential should have been enough. I mean, we know that USC is going to score points like a pinball machine in 2023. They're going to be really good on offense, assuming Caleb Williams stays healthy for the entire year. So can Greg Brown help the defense not look like they're being lit up like a pinball machine? Again, it's the points, giving up 29 points per game in this era of college football, when you're scoring 41 plus, that'll get the job done. It was other areas where they need to get better on defense. That was with tackling. That was getting physically stronger. And, you know, last year, their plus-minus ratio was through the roof. I mean, they led the nation. 28 turnover takeaways, I believe. I will sacrifice 5 takeaways for 150 more tackles, if that even makes sense. I think you know where I'm going with this. Just look like a better defense. Get better as the season goes on. Stay healthy. Make the playoffs. Let's see if this is the key. For all we know, hey, maybe Lincoln Riley isn't done yet. He might be out there looking through his Rolodex, seeing who else is available. We'll find out soon enough. Right now, though, we are at the midway point of the NBA season. You know that, right? I'm not watching the Lakers. I am still protesting, and everybody knows why who's watched. I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan. Anyways, we are still at the midway point of the NBA season, and it's here. So now is the perfect time for you to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Why? Well, because if you're a new customer, you're going to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook. It's safe, it's secure, and it's really super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to the point scores, who made the most three-pointers in that game. If you're a prop bet guy, go check out FanDuel. You're going to love it. And with FanDuel, it also lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So if you're one of those risk takers, jump on in. So don't miss out on the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets back when you go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. I do not ever want to hear again in my life from one USC fan, because I will jump through the computer screen and we'll have words. Might get physical. I never want to hear that USC is a football school and that's why they don't care about basketball. Tell that to Alabama fans. USC owns West Coast. Alabama rules the Southeast and a lot of the rest of the country when it comes to football. However, both are known for their football programs and their national championships playing football and Heismans, especially if you're USC. Look, the West Coast, LA, Alabama, these are two distinct different parts of the country. One part of the country where faith, family football actually means something. I think you know what I'm talking about. The other part of the country has the LA Lakers. They've seen Magic Johnson, Kareem, James Worthy, Kobe Bryant. So that would kind of tell you, hey, the West Coast, that's your basketball coast. And without USC football, the West Coast is a basketball coast. It's not known for football. But here's the kicker. Alabama's Crimson Tide, their basketball program, they're #1 seed in the field of 68 this year. Yeah. So I know it can be done. It's possible. A football school can be good in both revenue-generating sports. I mean, heck, Florida, the Gators, they won a couple of national titles in basketball. So why not USC? USC Hoops has won a school record 95 games over the last 4 seasons. Those 95 total wins are tied for 4th most among all Power 6 basketball programs. That trails only 2 NCAA champions, Kansas, who has 108, Baylor, who has 103, as well as Arizona, who has 96. You noticed UCLA's name was missing from that top echelon. For the 3rd straight season, and this is going to be the USC's 20th appearance in the Big Dance. They're going dancing for 3 straight years. This is the 2nd time it's happened in USC's history. The previous time, back 2007 to 2009. This year's Trojans, they're 22-10, 14-6 in the Pac-12. That was good for 3rd place regular season. We all know they took a dump first round, the Pac-12 tournament. But they got a 10 seed. So, auto bid. They're going to be in the East region. They're going to face number 7 seed Michigan State in Columbus, Ohio. Michigan State is coming into the tournament at 19-12. Now, some of you might remember the last time USC and Michigan State hooped it up together. That was back when Desmond Farmer, assistant coach Desmond Farmer, he was sitting on the bench as a player because Henry Bibby was trying to prove a point. Desmond Farmer is from the state of Michigan, Flint. And I'm not sure what was going on, but Desmond did not get in that game. And that really ticked me off. And it ticked off a lot of fans. So as far as this game is concerned, 7-10 seed games, those aren't really upsets. They're considered pick'em games. And if USC can get by Michigan State, the game's going to be played in Columbus, Ohio, by the way. Welcome to the big conference a year early. But I think that's going to give USC basketball and the fans who show up out there an idea what that environment's going to be like. There's another little benefit here. With the USC is going to be tip off against Michigan State on Friday. That extra day is actually huge. It's going to help USC hopefully get Drew Peterson and Vince Uwachukwu healthier before that game. Now, why should USC fans be concerned? Well, Michigan State is they're a basketball school. Tom Izzo is a legendary coach. They were just selected to the tournament for the 25th straight year. That's the most ever in NCAA history. They're considered a 2-point favorite coming out of the box, according to Vegas. We'll see which way that line moves as we get closer to the game. Now, Sparty, Michigan State, they went 5-5 in their last 10 regular season games. USC was slightly better. They went 6-4. That's the good news. If you follow USC as well as college hoops, you know this is going to be a tough draw. Number one, Michigan State has excelled this year with the 3-point line, both on offense as well as defending it. They shoot 40% beyond the arc. That's 3rd in the nation. They trail only Colgate and Toledo. They're a 30.9% success rate defending the 3-point line. It's pretty good. It ranks 34th. Now, we also have to now consider USC's issues with the outside shooting. They shoot just 34.5% from beyond the arc. That's good for 168th in this nation. And they launch about 19 threes per game. So, with that said, don't be surprised if USC wins this game. This isn't your typical Tom Izzo squad. 4th place in the big conference. 19 wins overall. If USC can win the battle of the boards, I know that's asking a lot, and get Sparty to miss some of their threes, they've got the chance. And then, should USC win, they're going to face the winner of number 2 seed Marquette, versus who's going to take on Vermont. Purdue is the number 1 seed in the East region. Purdue would be a terrible matchup for USC because the Boilermakers are huge inside. They have a 7-footer plus. His name is Zach Edey. And that dude is going to eat Josh Morgan and Vince Uechukwu's lunch. And then he's going to spit it back out at them. He's a monster. Some other notable names in USC's Eastern bracket. Kentucky. Just a reminder, USC is a football school. Kentucky is a basketball school. USC's 4-0 all-time versus the Wildcats. Just letting you know. Number 4 seed in that region, Tennessee. You might remember back in November, USC choked that game away back in the Bahamas. Literally choked that game away and lost in overtime. Oh, the 5th seed in the region. You know these guys. Duke. They just won the ACC tournament. Duke, the ACC this year was down. Miami was the best team throughout the season. So this isn't your best Duke team, but they're good. They're getting better at the end of the year, and that's what you want. So good luck, USC. We all remember that Elite 8 year versus Duke. If you can get that far and can play Duke, go get revenge. Look, I don't anticipate USC getting very far this year. If they can get the Elite 8, that would be great. I remember that loss to Duke, and I prefer that loss much more than their most recent Elite 8 run, where they got smoked by Gonzaga a couple years ago. That was right after USC smoked Kansas, who was a number 1 seed this year. All right. We're at the end of this episode of Locked on USC. I can go on a little bit further, but spring camp, they're on break for the next 10 days or so, whatever. They'll resume back on the 21st. We'll be out there. We'll have that all for you. And I'm going to have 4 more episodes of Locked on USC for you this week. And I'm going to cover football. Going to cover the tournament too, but I know where your bread is buttered, so don't worry about it. All right. Once again, thank you for making Locked on USC your first listen. Don't forget to check out Locked on College Basketball this week over on YouTube. They're going to be doing the bracket breakdown. You got to check it out. And when you're done with Locked on USC, we know where to go. Head on over to wearesc.com. Got a lot of good content up there. Check out Chris Arledge's musings. Eric McKinney's breaking stuff down. Scott Schrader, he's bringing the recruiting noise. Till our next episode of Locked on USC, you know what to do.